Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. Today we're talking about Geometry Wars Retro Evolved. Originally released on Xbox Live Arcade on November 22nd, 2005, it did later receive a PC port a few years later down the line. It's also backwards compatible on all modern Xbox consoles, and all footage today was captured on an Xbox Series X. It was published by Microsoft Game Studios and developed by Bizarre Creations. Geometry Wars began as a modest game but quickly became synonymous with the early days of the Xbox 360. Having played it casually for some time, I wanted to take a closer look at how it gained popularity and assess how well it holds up today. Let's go ahead and jump into Geometry Wars Retro Evolved. Geometry Wars originated as a straightforward game created by Bizarre Creations employee Stephen Cakebread. Initially, it served as a tool for Project Gotham Racing developers to test out analog sticks. Inspired by games like Robotron 2084, where one analog stick controlled movement and the other aimed the weapon. Cakebread found it relatively simple to code the twin-stick shooter genre on his own. Using basic geometry for art design, the project didn't even require an art designer. Geometry Wars made its debut within Bizarre Creations' larger game, Project Gotham Racing 2, on the original Xbox in 2003. The game was placed in the garage of the player as an arcade cabinet. It quickly gained popularity outside of the racing title. Some players even mentioned in my comments playing Project Gotham Racing 2 primarily for Geometry Wars, considering it a fun addition to the overall experience. The positive reception prompted Bizarre Creations to develop a standalone version for the new Xbox 360 Live Arcade, a digital storefront that was a novel idea at the time and would soon become incredibly popular. Launching at $5 and maintaining that price to this day, it remains easily playable. Recently, I took a deep dive into this Xbox Live Arcade title, and let me tell you, it was a blast. In Geometry Wars Retro Evolved, you play as a spaceship floating around in space. With the left stick, you move around, and with the right stick, you can shoot in any direction. Shapes spawn all around you and charge directly at you. Your goal is to destroy every shape you see and rack up as many points as possible before you run out of lives. It's as simple as a game can get. It's in this simplicity that it becomes such an addicting endeavor. It's the type of game where when you finish it, it demands you to play another round and try to beat it all over again. It really comes down to the tight game design and controls that this game has. Movement is smooth, and that's absolutely key in a game that is about dodging everything that comes flying towards you. The enemy design is surprisingly deeper than just flying enemies, asking you to learn how each enemy behaves to get further along in the game. You have simple ones like the blue diamonds that simply chase from behind you, but then you have the green ones that will dodge your bullets, forcing you to herd them into your firepower. You have pink shapes that explode into smaller, faster ones, and oddball ones like the red circles. The red circles work like a black hole, sucking everything in until they are so powerful that they will break down into blue shapes that are even more powerful than them, forcing you to focus on the red circles whenever they appear, and it adds a fun strategic element to the game. As your score gets higher and higher, these enemies are more and more dense. It's extreme, and you have to be strategic and fast with your movements. When you get into the zone of keeping up with everything going on, you fly through it, and that feeling is such a high that becomes an extreme low when lost, making you try again even harder. This is because with losing, you lose everything. With killing enemies comes a multiplier. This is how you launch that score up for achievements and placing yourself on the online leaderboards. Losing that multiplier and starting at square one is painful, but part of the fun of keeping a strong streak. That's about it for gameplay, and it's simplistic but so much fun. It controls fluidly and brings that high score challenge chasing feeling because it's great to just fly around and shoot these shapes. It's not a showstopper in terms of gameplay, but I think for $5 and the amount of fun that can be pulled from this, it's a great value. You not only get the evolved mode that you've been seeing, but you also get the retro mode. This is a style similar to the classic arcade feel, where you can see the whole screen. This version is far quicker and much more difficult in my opinion. I also don't think the look is as interesting, but it's a nice addition on top of everything else that is a nice change of pace to experience. Evolve mode is definitely the most entertaining mode you will get out of this game. In the evolved mode, you get an extremely trippy experience in terms of colors and background. Every element is full of bright neons and it stands out wonderfully. Everything is color-coded too, making it easier for enemy detection. The particle effects get intense, and the more enemies you destroy, the more full your screen becomes. When the screen is full, you will see explosions of white and ripples in the background that create a symphony of chaos. At times, I feel like it was a bit extreme and distracted from the gameplay just a little bit, but it's more of a stylistic choice that I understand. It leads to more chaos, and with more chaos, you get more of an enlightened feeling when you perfectly handle it. The retro mode is cute as well, going for a simple style reminiscent of an old school arcade game. Once again, it's a nice addition, but the real visual strength is with the evolved mode. The music is composed by Chris Chudley, and it's a great electronic score. It fits the game's simplistic but trippy vibe very well. It's not so intrusive that it blocks your flow of gameplay. This goes hand in hand with the general sound effect design of the game. Blips and bloops come in when you get enough points for an extra life or weapons upgrades. I like how the achievements don't pop up during gameplay, but they do make a noise whenever you achieve one in the game. It's a way to let you know that you've reached your goal without intruding in on gameplay. The sound design isn't noticeable, but when you look into it, it's very well done. In conclusion, Geometry Wars Retro Evolved is the type of game that is great in short bursts. And I think that's what made this such a charming Xbox Live Arcade title. You could pick this up between doing household chores and get a full experience. I think that's why it's become such a strong success. For a cheap price, you could get a game you could just enjoy when you don't have a lot of time. Sure, you could have popped on Perfect Dark Zero or Quake 4, but who knows if you have enough time to play that. This is the exact game you know you have enough time for. Its gameplay loop is addicting, it's nice and colorful, and it feels great to play. The achievements are tough too, with high scores you have to gain in one life, but it's a fun enough game that it's never annoying to strive for. It's a simplistic good time that if you haven't checked out is well worth trying. On my ranking of every game I've covered on Xbox Live Arcade, this game enters at number 3 out of 7. I liked its brevity over Age of Booty, but I think the Maw had more of a lasting impact on me, but it is very close. Geometry Wars Retro Evolved on release was very favorably reviewed. It felt like the little game that could. Many who bought it found it to be a worthwhile, quick experience that solidified that a digital marketplace could have strong exclusives. Official Xbox Magazine gave it an 8.5 out of 10 in a very tiny review, praising its addictive nature. This positive feeling stuck with the consumers, and in 2006, it was noted as being the best-selling Xbox Live Arcade title at that time. It's not anymore, but I'm sure it still ranks fairly high. It's gone on to have gained sequels and is still a name synonymous with the early days of the Xbox 360. It's a classic, and a fondly remembered one at that. That wraps it up for today though. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe to keep up with the retro Xbox content, leave a comment with any memories of this game or any Xbox Live Arcade game, and a very special thank you to all my YouTube channel members. Thank you for your support. And I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.